So this is my 2008 Suzuki DR-Z400 E. This video was shot at night, so it isn't very flattering, but she looks great in real life. I love this bike. It's very light and extremely easy and a lot of fun to ride. It's durable, easy to maintain for the mechanically inclined at least. It's relatively cheap and it has a lot of power. It's also the ideal bike for my purpose, provided some modification. But more on that later, maybe. Mine has just 30,000 kilometers in it, and it's in overall great shape. It has aftermarket frame and radiator protectors, handlebar switches, a KTM Enduro headlight, and a skid plate, which is not installed in this video. It also has some items borrowed from the original S model, like the speedo assembly, passenger foot pegs with support bracket, turn signal indicators, and the best of all, the dual sport extended subframe. These items were presumably imported by the original owner at probably a high price, since the Model S and SM were not sold in Brazil, which is where I live. In fact, this is the only Brazilian DRZ that I am aware that has a dual sport subframe, and trust me, I've looked for it a lot. This makes this particular bike kind of a jackpot. You can buy an expensive, brand new Model E, which is the dirt bike version, and also find it used, easy enough and a lot cheaper, but those are not street legal. In fact, the last year model which can be made street legal in this country is 2008. After that, the National Motor Vehicle Department doesn't issue a registration. It's a bureaucratic thing. Nobody knows the reason for this exactly, but I'm guessing it's financial. Maybe the bike wouldn't sell enough to justify the hassle of importing it. So in order to find a street legal, not too old, low mileage, in great shape inside and out DRZ for a reasonable price here in Brazil is already extremely unlikely. If you put the S model subframe in the deal, it becomes 1 in a million chance. Which is what makes the next part kind of heartbreaking for me. I spent a long time searching for this bike, and I found it 1100 kilometers away from where I live. I got on a plane and rode it home in a 2-day trip. On the first day, it was just perfect. Very plush ride on the asphalt, surprisingly comfortable. But halfway on the second day, just after I stopped for lunch, it started to get gradually very harsh. It felt like the front end of the bike was jerking a little, and by the end of the day became painful to ride on it. Even on the flattest asphalt highways, it felt like riding on cobblestone, with some potholes. It's very random. In concrete pavement, it was so bad that I had to pull to the side of the road and reduce to 30 kilometers an hour when the speed limit was 80. When I got home, the stator was fried, so the bike was out of use for 3 weeks until I sorted it out. After that, for the last 5 weeks, I've been doing nothing but try to fix this problem. I changed the fork coil, and after setting the adjustments to stock, I literally tried every compression and rebound configuration mathematically possible. I mean, in steps of 2 clicks. That's still 165 combinations. I checked the wheel axis and steering bearings for play, which it has absolutely none. I then by chance was met by this random fine gentleman on the street. The probability for this is incredibly low, but he had bought the same year DRZ on the very same week as me. I've never seen anyone riding a DRZ on the street, and probably never had him, so he came over and introduced himself, and we started talking about the bike. His bike, however, didn't present the terrible shaking that mine had. We met on another day to change bikes and compare it. So to sum up, the issue is that the front end shakes up and down with low amplitude but violent movements at random intervals, where the ground is perfectly flat. When in rugged terrain, the bike gets incredibly harsher. It's harsher than a skateboard. I shot this footage to try and find out what was happening. I also rode on my other motorcycle, a BMW G650 GS, on the same roads just as a reference, and unsurprisingly it felt like butter, not a single shake. Unfortunately, the video doesn't do justice to the effect. Also, it wasn't as revealing as I thought it would be. Maybe someone watches this and finds out exactly what's going on, but my expectations aren't too high. In any case, I hope this is interesting or at least entertaining to watch. Cheers.